If you simplify it, they will pay. Continuing my chat now with Marco Rubio. If you really simplify taxes, maybe others will pay attention as well. Let's talk a little bit about what helps all Americans, regardless of their ethnicity. You have a plan to simplify and cut taxes rather dramatically. You would have two tax rates, as I understand, Senator. 15% for couples up to just under 150,000, 150 and over, 35%. You also get rid of capital gains tax, dividend-related taxes. But is it almost too simple for words, and does it actually work against you? One prominent conservative who's a fan of yours said, how would people react to hearing that someone like Mitt Romney doesn't have to pay capital gains taxes? That's from James Pathakakis of the American Enterprise Institute. What do you say to that?
My argument is this tax plan is not designed to benefit any single individual. It's designed to benefit the American economy by doing two things, being pro-growth and being pro-family. On the pro-growth side, we want to make America the best place in the world for businesses to take their profits and reinvest it in creating new jobs, new factories, buying new machines, etc. And the way you do that is you tell them the more money you invest in America, the less you'll owe in taxes. That's why we eliminate the capital gains tax. That's why we eliminate taxes on dividends. That's why we lower the corporate tax rate to a globally competitive 25%. That's why we create parity between small businesses operated as S corporations and big businesses often operated as C corporations. You do these things, you're going to have rapid economic growth that's going to create millions of better paying jobs for all Americans. And on the personal side, we simplify the tax rate to two simple rates, 35% and 15%. 80% of Americans will be paying on the 15% rate. That's a tax cut for them. We also increase the per-child tax credit applicable to both your income taxes and also your payroll taxes to support families with the cost of raising their children. That will benefit millions of middle-class, hardworking Americans. You do these two things, something that empowers individuals and families, combined with a pro-growth tax rate, and you're going to see dramatic growth in our economy, dramatic growth in wages, dramatic growth in productivity from an economic perspective.
You know what you're going to hear from your critics. Oh, he's a friend of the super rich. Someone like Mitt Romney who gets all his income from capital gains, et cetera, walks off scot-free.
Well, I always laugh because the majority of people that accuse me of that happen to be millionaires, and they're lecturing me, the son of a bartender and a maid, about the plight of the middle class. At the end of the day, what hardworking Americans need is better paying jobs. And the only way you're going to create better paying jobs is by making America the best place in the world to create them. And our tax code as it stands today is an impediment to that. For example, we have $2 trillion of American cash sitting abroad that won't come back because they're not willing to pay taxes twice on that money. They already paid once in the other country. If we can bring that money back, that money is not, someone's not going to eat these dollar bills. They're going to invest them in opening a bigger factory and hiring more workers.
Not necessarily. They could just pocket it, right?
Well, either way, you have to consume it one way or the other. If you take the money and let's say you do pocket, you're going to spend it into the economy. That too is job creation. But most companies are going to reinvest it back into their businesses, expanding operations, because we're going to allow them to immediately expense that.
So you don't think it would make deficits worse in the short term before you get the,
well, if all you
the
did,
bang for the buck?
First of all, the only way you're going to deal with the debt in America is the combination of rapid economic growth and fiscal discipline. This is the first part of it, the rapid economic growth part of it. We still need fiscal discipline. We still need entitlement reform. Right?
We're on again another debt limit brink again on the 16th, I guess.
So we can't just cut our way out of this situation.
Or just raise the debt limit.
Right. Well, and that's going to continue to happen. I mean, unless we have a plan in place to bring the long-term debt under control.
But if you were president, regardless of these issues you raise, would you, short of any of the things that you outlined, you want to work on, raise the debt limit if we ever came to a brink?
Well, I don't want us to have a debt default, but I would use the leadership of the presidency to move forward on a debate on entitlement reform in combination with economic growth and regulatory reform. And the argument I would make is we cannot fulfill our full potential if we don't have a competitive tax code that makes America the best place in the world to invest and innovate, if we remove regulations that make us uncompetitive in the global marketplace, and if we don't bring our national debt under control. And in that third point, we cannot bring our long-term debt under control if we do not reform and save Medicare and Social Security. The ideas are there to do that. It just takes the political will to do it.
Would you means test Social Security?
I think that could be a component of it, especially in terms of how we index the benefit.
But for younger people like yourself,
absolutely,
it's inevitable that we'd have to go down that direction.
My Medicare is, I'm 44 years old. My Medicare is going to look different than my mother's. There's no way around it. The choice that we have is, well, are we going to deal with it now in a more reasonable and rational way, or are we going to wait till we have a debt crisis and then scramble to deal with it? If we
We're doing that now.
Well, if we deal with it now, we're going to be able to. My mother's on Medicare. I don't want her Medicare to change. It's too late in her life for that to happen.
Does she tell you that, son? Don't go too strong on
She doesn't tell me that, but I've always said that, and I'm from Florida. We have Medicare recipients. Right. And I've always told people, I think the way to reform Medicare is to leave it the way it is for people that are retired now or about to retire. It's
when
my
you say
generation.
About to retire, what's the level?
55, you could say 55 years of age and older. But for people in my
just
generation.
Checking my age.
Yeah,
go ahead.
But people in my generation, our Medicare is going to look different, and our Social Security is going to look different. It'll still be the best thing in the world. It'll just work differently, and it'll actually be sustainable. And I think my generation is prepared to make that choice, not just to hold our parents harmless, but to save these programs and ultimately balance our budgets.
Senator, thank you very, very much.
Thanks for having me.